Was the fall of Mike.com a precursor to the end of the clickbait business model? Are sports fanatics as we've known them a thing of the past? Will the next wave of innovation come from, gulp, fast food restaurants? We'll dive into these topics and more on the Business News Podcast at the intersection of marketing, technology, media, and popular culture. We call it Disruptive FM. Roll the title.
It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a milestone for us here on Disruptive FM. Episode 50, our golden anniversary. And let's pause for a second to note we have done what only 2% of podcasts ever created have done. And that is record a 50th episode. Big thanks and shout outs to our team here at DFM who make the magic happen. This episode is special because it's coming to you on the other side of the world. That's right, down under in Australia during Advertising Week APAC. You got it, folks. We're global. I'm Jeffrey Colon, head of brand studio for Microsoft Advertising, about to dissect 3 trending topics and spotlight some of the most subversive marketing in the QSR space in recent memory with the brilliant Fernando Machado, CMO of Burger King. Can't wait for that. So let's get into it. Here are 3 more trends coming at you.
Here are this week's trending topics. Yellow card.
Sports is dying. Well, we don't really mean dying, but dying in terms of how people consume them. The days of rabid New York Mets, Portland Trailblazers, Florida Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Manchester United fans, it's come to an end. And why? Well, at DFM, you know the answer. Yeah, that thing called the internet. Yes, what gives life to business is taking away what at one time it meant to be a rabid local fan. With smart TV, mobile phones, and more, you can tune into any game in any league in any country you want. That means you can be in Seattle, Washington, and never be a Mariners fan while watching the New York Yankees. Or you can be a Brooklyn Nets fan in the heart of Los Angeles. Sports content, fantasy sports, video games, and players who are big and moving from market to market on free agency have killed what it means to be a rabid fan. The crazy folks in the bleachers that come to games when the team has 9 wins and 100 losses, and there are only 100 other drunk fans in the stadium. This is forcing sports teams to rethink their business models. No longer can tickets be the sole way to earn revenue. Now it has to become about content contracts, merchandise on the global stage, and figuring out how to land 1 or 2 high caliber names that will get the world to watch your team. Who do you follow is a terrible question to ask in the modern day of sports. Next time, use plural. What teams with an S do you follow? Is much more suitable. The day and age of the Billy Crystals at an LA Clippers game or Spike Lee at a New York Knicks game will soon look dated. Why be a fan when you can simply follow the leader or follow your favorite player wherever he or she plays? Are we that far away from team jerseys being personalized around best players? I can't grab the yellow card to issue a caution from my back pocket fast enough.
Trending topics on DFM. Mic check.
Mike.com was such a feel-good story when it came onto the scene a few years ago, but it had a short-lived shelf life. What was supposed to dismantle the New York Times and be the go-to destination for millennial audiences who enjoyed reading about politics is a cautionary tale of betting your digital business on channel platforms to help you survive. In this case, Mike.com realized its clickbait model of text journalism wasn't enough for it to monetize and be profitable. And thus it moved to the ever-popular pivot to video when launching Facebook Watch shows in August of 2017. And yet, sadly, the company bet on another company's burgeoning platform for their success. This was a rookie risk, but one anyone in digital would have said, hold on a second. Ultimately, Facebook pulled the plug on the shows because they didn't have their act together with their proprietary technology. And this is where this business tale is a good lesson for us all. Yes, take big bets, take big risks. They will pay off, but take them with a calculated and critical view. There was nothing wrong with the pivot to video. But how would that differentiate the Mike.com platform from any other news platform doing video at that time? We now know video helped with advertising revenue for Facebook, not the publisher. But again, what is the monetization plan for publishing models? Relying on a channel like Facebook for this shows lack of vision on your behalf. And sadly, what's left out of all this are the people who hustled to build the site. Ultimately, they were laid off, and the site sold off for pennies on the dollar. We used to hear about this kind of thing with big manufacturing industries. Bethlehem Steel comes to mind when it shut down after being delisted from the New York Stock Exchange in 1995. But that company lasted over 100 years before shutting down. Mike.com is a warning that digital models, when they rely on advertising and third-party platforms to survive, can be gone in a matter of years, even months, or even days, if there is no sound strategic business plan to profitability.
Trending topics on DFM. Whopper Innovation.
We have spoken about quick service restaurants in the past on DFM. Surprisingly, it's the one area where marketing innovation is alive and well. The reason may be due to fast food being so competitive in the market. A drive down any strip of suburbia will send you shocks of the paradox of choice of what's available. McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, Jack in the Box, Sonic, Long John Silver's, and yes, Burger King. We're lucky to speak to our next guest who has been pushing the envelope for years in the QSR space. Fernando Machado is Chief Marketing Officer of Burger King and one of the big proponents of how design, innovation, products, and service, as well as stunts, play a big part in marketing innovation, and how what fast food is doing in marketing could inspire entirely other different sectors like banking, retail, clothing, and tech. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think that there are three types of innovation. So one type is innovation to improve guest service, right? To improve the service to the customers. So we invested a lot of time and money revamping our mobile app, for instance. And today, in the U.S., we have mobile order and payment. We have a store finder. We are working on providing delivery service through our own app and all that good stuff. So we are working on getting self-ordering kiosks to the restaurant and customizing menu boards based on people's profiles. So lots of things that make the life of the user, the life of the guest or the consumer better. And that's important because, when you think about fast food, most of the things I'm talking about here, they make the service faster, and they make the service more accurate. They make the service more available to people, which are all key drivers of consumption for the category. So that's one bucket. Then you have product innovation, products that you are launching that kind of align with trends and needs and behaviors that we are seeing in the marketplace. I think one of the classic examples from our side here is the launch of the Impossible Whopper, right? The partnership that we did with Impossible Foods, and we brought to the market a plant-based Whopper, and it's just amazing, and it's doing really well. So product innovation, which is not something new. All the brands, I think, are or in any category are looking for to innovate in their products. So we are doing that too. And then finally, I think it's basically like innovative ways to connect with people, to connect, like, I wouldn't even call it advertising, right? I mean, it's just like the creative work that we do in terms of communicating with and to our consumers. And lots of the campaigns that we've done that are rather famous, they are not your typical ads, right? I mean, if you think about Whopper the Tour, it's a bit of an overlap because it's communication and at the same time touches in technology, which is through the mobile app in that case. Or if you think about Burn That Ad, which is the example from augmented reality, it's a different way to communicate, but at the same time, it's driving people to download the app, which will provide them with a service. So it's kind of like an overlap between two of the areas where we are innovating, one being technology to improve guest service, and the other one is communication. And it's important to innovate in communication, mainly because we are not the top spender in the category. It's a very cluttered environment out there. So you need to come up with ideas and creative that will cut through, especially if you're not the top spender. And that's what we always try to do. We always try to come up with ideas that people are going to talk about, that it's going to get a ton of earned media because they are so innovative. And that's what kind of like success looks like in terms of the ideas that we go after.
Innovation is what we should be eating with our Whopper with cheese. Fernando Machado, CMO at Burger King.
Trending topics on DFM.
Now, here comes the music.
Hey, it's Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm Jeffrey Colon. Hope you're having a great week. We would love to connect with you. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at DisruptiveFM, and you can connect with me personally on Twitter and Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Big shout out to our sponsor partners, Microsoft Advertising, Intelligent Connections. Connect meaningfully with the people who matter to you. Microsoft Advertising provides intelligent solutions that empower you to deliver engaging, personalized experiences that value people. Learn more at microsoftadvertising.ai. And Branding Strategy Insider. Branding Strategy Insider serves 50,000 plus senior level marketers, CMOs, and business decision makers daily. And is distributed by partners such as the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Google News, and Forbes. Branding Strategy Insider is the leading resource for thought leadership in brand strategy and brand management. Learn more at brandingstrategyinsider.com. And Iographer. Iographer creates accessories for your mobile device to help you make better videos. Their specialty is the Iographer case, which I have been using myself for a long time. Their cases allow you to attach filmmaking accessories like microphones, tripods, and lenses, and help you to stabilize your video and look like a pro. And they won't bust your budget either. Learn more at iographer.com. In the background, new music from Antton. It's a track called Do You Like Space? It's out now on Black Riot Records, a really cool label out of the UK. Antton, Do You Like Space? Don't know. Never been there. Would love to go sometime.
And now, Disruptive FM presents... What? What kind of shit is that? Come on!
So I'm in Australia and hear about another mass shooting. And then I hear about a second and a third. In the discussion of what is the root cause of this in the United States, one person, who will remain nameless, chimes in that video games must be the root cause of all this. This makes us think back to 1985, when two teens who committed suicide in Reno, Nevada, sued the heavy metal band Judas Priest for saying their song Better By You, Better Than Me off their album Stained Class drove them to suicide. So in this everything is a remix meets what come on moment, we simply have to note the data. Japan plays a lot of video games. Canada plays a lot of video games. The United Kingdom, they play a lot of video games. Italy plays a lot of video games. Germany plays a lot of video games. China plays a lot of video games. And yes, South Korea plays a lot of video games. None of those countries have any mass shootings on record this year. The U.S. has 5 violent gun deaths per 100,000 people. Those other countries, 0. It's not video games. And to this, we say,
What? Come on!
Okay, here are a few stories that are starting to create some buzz. We think you might want to pay closer attention. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
Barney's New York has filed for bankruptcy protection, with the luxury retailer reaching an agreement with lenders for $75 million in extra financing to give it time to find a buyer. It will close 15 of its 22 stores, including Chicago, Seattle, and Las Vegas, plus most of its outlets. The move comes after a steep rent hike at its flagship Madison Avenue store, which will remain open, and as retailers struggle with the shift to online shopping.
Number 2.
The hottest new hires in artificial intelligence are those with autism. Companies including Ernst & Young, Credit Suisse, and Dell Technologies are utilizing some of these workers' ability to focus, analyze, and recognize patterns, enabling them to systematically develop and test artificial intelligence models. At a time when the IT jobless rate is less than half the unemployment rate. Of the 80 employees hired through Ernst & Young's neurodiversity program, many had been working as janitors, drivers, or in delivery.
Number 3.
The hissing cassette was never music lovers' first choice. The only reason these things were popular throughout our childhood and adolescence in the 1970s and 1980s was their portability. You could play them on a boombox, in a car, on a Walkman, when they appeared 40 years ago. The CD killed them off more ruthlessly than it did vinyl records. There was simply no reason to compromise so deeply on sound quality anymore. And yet the cassette is back. Sales in the U.S. grew 23% in 2018, according to Nielsen Music, with 219,000 tapes sold in 2018, compared with 178,000 in 2017, Pitchfork reported. That was after a 35% increase in 2017. In the United Kingdom, sales were up 112% year over year in the first half of 2019, even if that means only 36,000 cassettes were sold. The sound tape gives is warm. It's saturated. It promotes a degree of imperfection and creates an underflow of infamous tape hiss that leaves the format feeling nakedly honest, which is gold dust for the sincere inclined musician. Digital formats, of course, can replicate any imperfections an artist may desire. But that wouldn't be sincere now, would it? All right, that's going to wrap up a major milestone for us here at DFM, the Big 5-0. We're glad to reach episode 50, and we hope that you'll stay with us for the next 50 more. Next week, we got a good one. Lizzie Windhelm of Pandora is with us to talk about sonic branding. Huge thanks for all your support over the last year. There are a lot of podcasts out there, and we truly appreciate you taking the time to check us out. Please help us grow by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the show. We're on all the major podcast services, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. And we're coming soon to Pandora. Once again, the socials, Twitter and Instagram at Disruptive FM. And check out cool content from our sponsors at MicrosoftAdvertising.ai, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Until next time, from everyone here at DFM, I'm Jeffrey Colon. Catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.